but I love Korea. Like I said, I want to stay like 3 to 4 years, and if I could, longer. Maybe I'll get married. Yeah. Or like how much people work here. Like it's work, 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 work. Companies expect you to be that work should be your life. So that's like one thing. Hello everyone, I'm Cara Spence. I come from South Africa. I've been living in Korea for 3 years now. Currently, I am a full-time teacher, but next March I'm going to be starting part-time teaching, hoping to focus a little bit more on my art because I'm super creative. I used to study filmmaking in South Africa, and after I finished my degree, I decided I really wanted to travel more. So I knew of a lot of South Africans coming to Korea because it's a place for us to easily get a visa for teaching. So I came to Korea hoping to travel and see the world more. Yeah, I'm planning on staying for a long while still. Maybe like another 3 or 4 years. We'll see what happens. I would love to stay longer. Like I really, really love Korea and living here.
Why do you live in this town?
So I live in Yeonnam-dong specifically. It's close to my work. It's about 15 to 20 minutes on a bus. I chose Yeonnam-dong because it's close to Hongdae and I hang out in Hongdae a lot with my friends and I really love it.
So what is the pros and cons of this town?
Pros, there's so many. I think like a lot of people know Yeonnam-dong for like the restaurants and the cafes. So much like diverse foods here. There's like novelty cafes. It's a great place for like hanging out with friends or going on dates and stuff. So it's really, really like entertainment heavy and just so much fun. Another pro is like Hongdae is like a 15-minute walk to the busking area. So there you can go watch live performances. You can go to like the shopping street. There's more restaurants, more cafes, and there's also the clubbing area. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds, like more like student vibes over there, and then Yeonnam-dong is more like family and friends vibes. Cons, I don't really think for me there are any. Maybe it's a little bit far away from some places in Seoul, like going to Gangnam or Jamsil, it takes like an hour and a half. So it's not like Hongdae is central and you can go anywhere. It takes a while to get to other places. Maybe that's like a con, but other than that, like my neighborhood's quite quiet and it gets busy on weekends. So if I leave my window open, sometimes you'll hear people outside, but I kind of like it because it seems like there's stuff happening outside and it's just exciting. Yeah, so not that many cons for me.
Do you know the size of this house?
I don't know Pyeong that well, but I think it's about 8 or 9 Pyeong. So not very big, but bigger than a lot of apartments in Seoul.
How much is the monthly rent or deposit money?
Actually, right now, my job is paying for everything. But when I do part-time in March next year, I'll be taking over the contract. So when I take it over, it'll be 5 million won deposit, and then it is about 650,000 per month. There's also a maintenance fee that's about 100,000, 800,000 for everything per month.
But I know this area is not cheap.
Yeah, and I know the deposit is cheap, like
Yeah.
5 million won. A lot of places are like 10 million won, so at least the deposit isn't too much.
Someone said if you have a lot of deposit money, you can discount the
Yes, the monthly pay. I think if I paid like 10 million for deposit, maybe my monthly pay would go down quite a lot. But I can't pay 10 million for the deposit. It's a lot of money.
Yes,
I'm trying to save for the 5 million. So
is this price appropriate compared to your country?
no.
No?
No, this is very expensive compared to South Africa. In South Africa, a place this size, about 29 square meters, I would say you pay maybe 350,000 per month. And then deposit is only one extra month. So your deposit is 350,000. If I took the money that I'm spending on this apartment and I got an apartment in South Africa, I would get like 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. It's very expensive, but I also know like Seoul is more expensive, and
Yeah.
I live in Yeonnam-dong, so it's more expensive as well. Yeah, in South Africa, much cheaper.
I think you were very shocked when you come to Korea.
Yeah, I was. We're actually really lucky, the teachers here, because our jobs sponsor our apartments. We don't have to pay it ourselves. Because if I had to, I probably would have left Korea. It's so expensive. It's been really nice. Like if you ever consider teaching in Korea, just know that you don't have to pay for your apartment, and it's like a big plus.
So how did you find this house? You said you find it through Jikbang.
Yeah, so my school sponsored it, and originally they sent me a bunch of pictures of other apartments, and I wasn't happy with any of them because they were sending me pictures of places that were really small or really old, and I just knew I would have problems with it, so I said no. And then they told me, okay, here's your budget. You go look for a place that you want. So I had 1 week to find a place. I looked at Zigbang, and I looked at Naver, and I looked on, there's like a lot of Facebook groups for foreigners in Korea. Like they list apartments available, or somebody trying to find someone to take over their lease. So those are really like valuable resources. In the end, I was struggling so much with like not being able to speak Korean. If I found a place, I couldn't talk to anyone about it because they just expect me to speak Korean. So my school helped me find a realtor, and then she just asked me to send anything that I found, and then they would talk to her, like she would talk to them instead of me. So I found this place on Zigbang, and I sent her the link, and then she organized everything for me.
Isn't hard or difficult in that process?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult if you don't have the help I had. Like I had my school helping me, I had the realtor helping me. Finding things on your own, I think as a foreigner, if you don't speak Korean, is really difficult. So I would say like the best thing to do if you come to Korea and you don't speak Korean is to go to like the realtor stores that are like everywhere. What are they called? Like budongsan. You see the signs all the time. Like they're everywhere. You walk down the street, it's like budongsan. I know there are some that don't like to help foreigners or don't speak English well enough to help foreigners, but there's so many of them that you can just walk down the street to another one or like find another one. There's always going to be one that would be able to help you, and I think that's the best way to get an apartment here, especially if you go to places like Hongdae and Itaewon, because there's so many foreigners already living here that the realtors are used to speaking to people who are English.
Advice to foreigners who will find a home in Korea for the first time.
First time when you're trying to look for a place, like I said, like go to a budongsan, speak to a realtor. That's like the best way. Unless you're a teacher, then you have your school to help you out. But if you're here on a different visa, that's the best way. You also have to decide like what kind of place you want to stay at. Like you get share houses, you get one rooms, you get places that have multiple rooms. So how much are you willing to pay for deposit versus like space and area and all of those things? Just always go look at the place that you want. Like if you find a place on Zigbang or the realtor suggests a place with pictures, don't just trust the pictures. Go and look at it, because a lot of times the pictures make it look bigger.
Yeah.
The pictures might like show an apartment that's like 2 or 3 years ago, so it might be older and have like more problems. So make sure to like actually go check it out.
How is it living in Korea now? You lived in Korea for 3 years?
Yeah. So I actually came to Korea in COVID times. And it was actually not great to arrive in COVID, but it was better than COVID in South Africa, I feel. My first year living in Korea, being in Cheongju, outside of Seoul, and during Corona times, it was like very isolating. I was very like alone, and none of the Koreans really spoke English. So it was just a little difficult. So that's why I decided to move to Seocho, and I worked in Gangnam, in Daechi, Gangnam. that job was really, really stressful. Like, Daichi is way too competitive, the kindergartens and stuff. So I decided to move again. And now I'm finally in a place that I'm really happy. Like, my current school is great, and I'm going to do part-time with them. So I'm staying with that school, and they're just like really helpful and stuff. It's been really, really good. Like, I would say every year has been a new adventure for me. I feel like I haven't explored most of Korea yet, so I'm really excited to find out more. But I love Korea. Like I said, I want to stay like 3 to 4 years, and if I could, longer. So we'll see how it works. I'm giving it 3 to 4 more years. So hopefully something happens. Maybe I'll get married.
With Korea.
Yeah. Then I get a visa.
You can get a visa easily.
Exactly, if I get married.
A unique habit and culture that you have when you experienced in Korea.
There's like too many to list actually. But I think like one big one is like the work ethic, or like how much people work here. Like it's quite intense. Like here it's expected, like if your boss gives you more work, you say thank you, you take it, you go do your work, you stay overtime, you work like 12 to 16 hours and you just do it. In South Africa, it's like when your time is over, you go home. Sometimes you stay late if there's something you need to do, but it's not like every day. Like I feel like here it's just, it's work, 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 work. And like companies expect you to be, that work should be your life. So that's like one thing. Like I've met a lot of Koreans here that just, they work such long hours and they're so stressed from their jobs and they're always being pushed. And then another thing is the dating culture.
Oh, what?
The dating culture.
What?
Oh my gosh, it's so difficult to date here. It's really difficult to date here. If you're like dating someone really Korean, like just only lived in Korea and hardly speaks English, like being able to connect with them is so difficult. And then like there's like little things like if you have a boyfriend, you don't go with your boyfriend to hang out with his friends together, you know? Or your boyfriend will go with you to meet your friends and hang out together. It's like separate. He says, okay, I'm going to hang out with my friends, goodbye. And then he goes, hangs out with his friends. Like, there's such a pressure in Korea to date. Like, everyone is always like looking for someone to date. If you're not dating someone in Korea, it's like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Like, so I feel like a lot of couples are only together so that so they're not alone, you know? So it's sometimes difficult to also just find people who are sincere and like actually want to date you for you, rather than just you're a foreigner, you're exciting, or I just don't want to be alone. Yeah, it's really difficult to date here. I think most of my friends are single and we go on dates, but it's like, yeah. Also, the older generations don't really want, a lot of them don't want their children to date foreigners. They also, like, the guys would just be like, oh, I'll date you, but I won't marry you because my parents won't approve. Yeah, I think the dating culture is really something tough. I think a lot of people come here, a lot of girls that are addicted to K-pop or K-dramas, and they think they're gonna find their rich CEO or their K-pop bias or whatever. And they're like, it's going to be easy. I'll meet him on the street. It's like, no. Yeah, it's a really difficult thing here. Like, I want to stay for a long time, but then I also think, will I just be single for that whole time? I had one boyfriend here.
A Korean boyfriend.
A Korean boyfriend. And then it ended terribly. So, not good. It's a big adjustment. Yeah.